What's up, TRC fans? Don't miss our annual Street Kings event at Bradenton Motorsports Park on December 10th. Join the TRC team for an action-packed day of drag racing, roll racing, and a car show. We'll see you out there.
Hi guys, Brett LaSala, and we're here to talk about the new car a little bit. It was about this time last year, November 2021, I ran a 698 with my old car, Snot Rocket. I felt for the first time, or probably the only time, was I guess both, in my car journey, like accomplished or complete with the car. Like it felt done to me. After I ran that pass, like usually as soon as I get that, I get the data and be like, oh, we can go 200s faster, 300s faster. But after that pass, it was less like, it did what it needed to do. And when I say that, when we first started building that car, I never dreamed that it would ever even get to that level or that speed. As you've probably seen a lot of videos before, that car was very complete. It was full interior, power windows, power locks, all glass, all steel. Like it was a legit real car, not a race car. We got home from that event. I got a few messages, hey, do you want to sell the car? That was the first time where I was like, wait a minute, maybe I do want to sell it. And then what would I do after that? Obviously keep racing, build another car. So when I started thinking about selling the other car to build a new car, I think the first person I contacted was Jim. As you guys know, he's a good friend of mine, and he's very much part of my program because he's the fabricator. We build the cars together, my car, his car, and I can't build a new car without him. So naturally, you know, it was like, hey man, want to build a new car? And he was super pumped, he was super excited, ready to move forward. Everyone else I told about selling the car, you know, Tia, my girlfriend, Fernando, everyone that was close to me that kind of came up with me with the car, were super attached to the car. You know, it was mixed reviews, mixed feelings, because we were attached to the car. Like, you know, I had it for 4 or 5 years. Well, no, longer than that. Built it, you know, came up through racing with it, you know, got my job here at Real Street with that car. So there was some sentimental to it, but at the end of the day, to me, it was still a car, and I was going to do something better, or something that I wanted to do different. And that car was still awesome, and we built that car and no one could ever take that away from us, so I didn't feel like I was losing it by selling it to build another car. A good friend of mine, Joel Steele, contacted me and posted his car for sale, which was this car. You guys might know it. It was red at the time, had the stick shift world record. He was building a new car and he listed the car up. And I was like, man, would you sell it as a roller? Because I wanted to build it from scratch, basically, except the chassis, engine, turbo kit, wiring, all that kind of stuff. And he was like, well, let me think about it. So while he was thinking about it, I was pinging back people looking to buy the car, and ended up working out a deal with Zach Myers, which is a friend of mine. He's local here. And at the same time, working a deal with Joel to buy this rolling chassis. That was sometime in December. It worked pretty seamless. About a month or two, both deals went down. I sold the old car, drove up to Bowling Green to buy the new car, and it was like a blizzard. It was horrible. My first time driving in snow. That's a whole another story though. That was was pretty wild. But we got the car and got it home. Was super happy to buy the car from Joel because, like I said, we were friends. Gave me the full disclosure on everything with the car, the chassis, stuff he changed, stuff he may want to change. So we got the car back here in January, and initially our goal was to race TX2K. It was only 3 months away, or barely 3 months away, so we had a lot of work to do. So Jim and I, we started grinding on it. Knew we wanted to do Motec everything on the car. Knew we wanted to do a dry sump. Had an idea of turbo kit. The engine, the Fast Forward Racing engine Coyote, was literally identical from the previous car. We had a good program with them. We had a solid engine that we knew could produce the horsepower we were looking to make. So that didn't change. We work on the car basically at night and on the weekends because Jim had a 9-to-5 job and then I do it here at Real Street. So this was building the car kind of after hours as our side hobby. So our time was limited before the race. We got close. Basically, mechanically, the car was pretty much done, but I didn't have any of the wiring done. And at that point, the car was still red. We were gonna just race it, no powder coatings, everything was raw, was put it together, and we were gonna just run it to make the event. But it just got too close, and we knew that we wouldn't have success at that race, even if we did get it running in that short period of time. So we brought the car there anyway and put it at the booth kind of on display, and it was kind of the announcement of, hey, look, this is my new race car. So we got back from Texas, and I started working on the wiring harness. Got it done, got it in the car, got the car, sent everything out to powder coat. At that point, it was time to make a decision if we were gonna leave it red or bring it green. Everyone voted green, including myself, keep the identity of the last car and me, I guess, at this point. So sent the car to a paint shop to get the jams and the engine bay painted, and that's actually got to have it green. The outside of the car, I chose not to paint it because, one, it was cheaper to do a wrap, and two, the body panels are, a lot of fiberglass, and it's not as nice as factory panels as far as to put like a really expensive proper paint job on it. So we got the car back from wrap, assembled it, everything powder coated, looking nice, fired the car up, and we worked probably about a week or two through little issues just here at the shop. It got us down a little bit, and Jay was like, hey, it's good that these issues are happening here and not at the racetrack. And he was 100% right, because we worked through those few issues, dynoed the car, and literally hit the track, and the car was just running from that point on. That weekend there was a race in Steele, Alabama, a streetcar takeover, and I was like, let's go race it. So we went up there to finish our testing and race the car, and we actually won the small tire division that weekend with the car. And I think went at like a 4:30, it was 8th mile class, like 169, which was 0.3 faster than the other car ran. So after Alabama, we got back and went over the car. Everything looked good. We went to FL2K. At that point, we haven't ran the car quarter mile yet. It was just 8th mile. First full quarter mile pass at FL2K during testing. Went at 6:82, I believe, which again, another personal best for me and the combo. A 6:66, I think, the next full pass, which was my initial goal for the car, was to go 4:30s and like a 6:60. I didn't think a 6:50 was really on the table, so 60 was kind of where I said, man, it'd be really awesome if a car we built to do drag and drives and 3,000 pounds and all that stuff can go that quick with factory block, full water-cooled Coyote engine, and it did. eliminations at that point, and we were up against Cletus in the semifinals. And I think you guys saw footage of that race. It was awesome. I left on him a little bit. I think I had him by like a fender by the 8th mile, and then he kind of came big blocking around me and put a bumper on me at the stripe, and it was side by side, 210, 220 mile an hour. I think he might have been like 218 or something, that pass, side by side passes, and it was pretty sick. Even though we lost the round, we couldn't have been happier. Winning 663 possibly that run. Every time we run it, it goes a little bit quicker. We're shaving some numbers off. So we got back from that event, we recouped a little bit, and we started preparing for World Cup finals. Last year at MIR, I brought my other car, and it was freezing, like 30 degrees. We got our butt kicked all weekend. I had an alternator go bad, a fuel pump go bad. I felt like we were just kind of struggling. I didn't have a great event. So this year, going in with this car, we felt prepared. We qualified number 2 with a 655, 208. Eliminations day come up, we go up round 1, and we're racing a 7-second GTR. We felt confident we had enough power to outrace them. We turned down the starting line, probably to the slowest 60-foot the car's ever run. And they kind of changed the prep routine that morning. Some rain came in, and no track prep happened, and we didn't realize it until we got to the starting line. And then by then it was too late. I was right in a bald spot from the car that was running before me, and struck the tires on the starting line. It was defeating, coming from the high of qualifying, knowing we had one of the cars to beat. I think Keith Ray, a number 1 qualifier, spun on the starting line first round against 32. I spun number 2 qualifier against number 31. It's okay, we knew the car was good. Losing's never fun, but as long as you learn something, you're gonna move forward. We get packed up, we drive home Monday, and that next weekend, Saturday, is the Mod Motor Mustang Nationals in Georgia. Justin Young runs this event every year. It's a Ford only. It's Mod Motors mainly, but a small block Ford. Basically any Ford power car can race the event. We were entered in King of the 4-valve. We were number 2 qualifier again, behind Keith. He had a few numbers on us. The race ended up getting called short because we hit curfew on Sunday night. We were in position to be in the finals, and basically just ran out of time. But we got to manage some track conditions that we haven't seen before, because a hurricane had come through the day before, and Georgia gets pretty wet, and the rubber was peeling off the starting line. It was our first time really dealing with a pretty bare starting line. So it was all good data that weekend with assessing and trying to slow the car down in the areas it needs to slow down to still be fast. After Mod Nats, the next race coming up is TRC Street Kings. Really not going to change a lot in the car right now, but after that event, or maybe it may happen before, I don't even remember how many weeks it is until the race. This month has just been pretty much gone. We have a rear shock change we're going to do. Basically, it went a 109 60-foot, fairly easy. When I say that, it wasn't trying to wheelie or flip over. We turned the power up to try to run a 106, 107 60 foot, and it was coming up on a power wheelie pretty bad. So we have a suspension change to make to counteract that. And once it does that, we're pretty sure that, we're going to knock even more numbers off the 8th mile and then the quarter mile. So we're going to make that change over the winter, keep dialing in the engine combo with that, and then, just prepare for the next race going into the next year. So we wanted to go over the car pretty thorough for you guys, and so we'll start with the exterior. And as you can see, it's a stock wheelbase Pro Mod. Right? Basically complete opposite of my last car, which was all factory panels and glass. This is fiberglass hood, fiberglass front end, Lexan windows, fiberglass doors, fiberglass trunk. The body, the rear quarters, the roof, all that stuff all the way through is original, but the goal is lightweight. Joel built this car like this to be as light as it can to be fast, and it is an S197, so it's a large car, and they carry a lot of weight. Even with all of this, the car's still like 2985 to 3000
though, because before with you in it, it was pretty hefty.
Right, yeah, absolutely. The last car was 3450, 3500, depending on the day or how much I ate or how much fuel was in the car. So to move in with a car that's 500 pounds lighter,
that's huge.
It's huge. It is.
Especially going that fast, going over 200, shaving 500 pounds.
Exactly. And the other thing too is this car has a nice long wing on the back, which the other car didn't have a wing at all. It was pretty, moving around after the 8th mile, and everyone's like, oh, you should get a wing, you should get a wing. And I'm like, I don't want a wing, because it was, the purpose of that car was to just look like a Mustang, not look like a Pro Mod. And now after racing this car with this wing, I see what everyone was saying. It's perfectly stable, just planted to the track.
I mean, watching this thing go down the track, it's like mesmerizing. It almost looks slow, because like slower. Obviously, it doesn't look slow, but it looks slower because of how smooth it is.
It's smooth,
planted. It's
straight,
not like, no drama.
It's wonderful. The chassis is really good, and it's just working really well.
And for you as a driver, I imagine that's got to be a dream, because you're not fighting the car down the track, and it's doing its thing.
No, absolutely. I mean, the last car. I mean, my hand's still pretty much on the parachute, after the 8th mile anyway, just in case something happens. With the last car, it was pretty twitchy, feeling compared to this car. This car feels pretty planted, so you can concentrate more on what's going on rather than it's just going to turn sideways at any point. The rear suspension on this car is a 4-link, which is proper drag racing suspension. If you can get away with putting one in any other cars, it just works well. The advantage to that is the parallel bars keep the rear end straight to the body, and you can really dial in your angles with a lot of adjustability to get the separation you need from the rear end to race a radial. Basically, the car leaves starting line, the body is then pushing the rear end to the ground, planting the tire into the racetrack, and also driving the front end of the car down, which is preventing the wheelie and letting the car go fast.
All right, man, well, let's pop this hood off and
so
check out the heart of the beast.
This is probably my least favorite part of the car. It takes two people. You can't just open hood to show everyone your nice, cool engine bay real easy. And it's like, come by the pits later. Maybe I'll have it open. When we laid everything out, it was function form and accessibility to work on the car.
Sure.
Because these cars require a lot of maintenance and a lot of things. So you can get the timing cover off without taking the radiator out. You can take the engine out without taking the turbos off. Like everything's, try to think it through to the point to where you're gonna have to be working on it. So you want it to be accessible and also where you're not like wearing stuff out like
Exactly.
when you're doing it.
It just happens to be a work of art at the same time. Shout out to Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. When Jim and I work together, things come out like pretty cool. Like we just kind of blend our visions, and then it's awesome. We actually had a set of billet header flanges made for this with EGT bungs in it. Everything's 321 stainless, double slip fit collectors. The goal with this one was to do it once and not have to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
All the plumbing is BMRS.
So this is a dry sump deal?
Yep, dry sump. It's an Aviade pump. It's 5-stage, I believe. It's got 4 scavenge stages, 1 for the turbos, 3 for the engine, and then the pump itself for the oil pump. The turbos are Precisions. These are 7680 Next Gen R wheels.
Those are the new bad boys.
The new bad boys. When I had the car at FL2K, it had the 7675 Sportsman turbos on it, and we switched to this Next Gen wheel.
It's a work of art, man. It's a absolutely serious machine on the racetrack. But man, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it sounds awesome. Just from idling to running down the track at 8,800 to 9,200 RPM, it just screams. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, man. That symphony of Coyote sounds. and speaking of Coyote, I mean, I gotta say, the more we dive into these things, and we've been filming you a ton here, it's so crazy to see how far you're pushing the platform with, I mean, it's cast block. I mean, a lot of factory Ford stuff, like it's wild.
Yeah, no, it is wild. And that was one of the ideas with the car too, was to continue to push the platform for ourselves, just because it's interesting to me. And for Fast Forward Racing Engines, through our engine program, it's awesome. This is a factory block that's been sleeved. It's still wet deck, full cooling system. It's not a billet engine by any means. And just making laps, it really is. We're gonna just keep turning it up and find the true limit.
You're one of the few in some of the classes I see you running that you're driving your car up to the lanes.
Right, and that's what I tell people. Is like, well, I was already building this car, and I couldn't afford to buy a bigger trailer or a push car, so I was like, we're gonna have to make this thing be able to drive. So we just got it in a little 24-foot trailer, and we drive it everywhere at the track. And also, it's actually built for a drag and drive event. My goal is to do one of those again, like I did in the other car, except try to win the overall and try to have a 6-second average. So it's, big fuel cell, big radiator, all that kind of good stuff. On this build, we went ahead and went with a dry sump setup. One is so we can get the engine lower to the ground, and 2, dry sumps just work better. You have scavenge pumps that are pulling vacuum from the engine, getting oil back to the tank to make good oil pressure through the run. It's been working out pretty good. On the back of the oil pump is a cable drive, which drives the fuel pump. Has a Waterman Little Bertha mechanical fuel pump in the back by the fuel cell. Turbo Smart is controlling the boost with the wastegates and the blow-off valve. These actually have a position sensor on the wastegate, which is awesome data. So first time using them, and man, they work really well, and you can see exactly what's happening with the wastegate from the starting line to down the track. So that was pretty neat to see. The engine, again, Fast Forward Racing Engines, basically Ford parts and Manley parts. It's got Manley rods, Manley pistons, and most everything else in there is probably got a Ford part number on it. And
that's wild, dude.
So
that is so wild. I mean, this thing's definitely, at the mile an hour you're trapping at that weight. I mean, this thing's probably making over 2,000 wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just nutty, man.
It is. It's just awesome. The technology, we joke around about it being, 2 K-Series engines. This is the cylinder head, it flows. It's my K50. It's 5 liters, and it's got 2 of everything, and spins high and makes power. We make up for displacement that way with it.
What do you spin it to?
We're shifting at 9,200 now.
Jeez, that's a lot of RPM, man.
Yeah.
For a big motor like that, that's sweet, dude.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
A lot of boost, a lot of RPM, and more cubes, and you're going fast.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish we can get more cubic inch out of this engine, but the way the piston and the cylinder height is, you can't, but it's okay. We'll just keep making boost and keep spinning it. It has a Plasmaman intercooler and Plasmaman intake manifold. I've been running their stuff for a long time now also, from their like first Coyote manifold, and those guys are just awesome. If we want something, you know, looked at or changed, like, you know, they're right on the ball making it happen for us, and it's continuing to make power, so we haven't found a limit of anything. So in here it's pretty much just all business. It's pretty close to the same as from when I got it from Joel, minus the shifter changed a little bit from when he had it as a stick shift, and I took the clutch pedal away. And I reached out to Ryan at FFP. He does the pedal boxes that were in here, and actually had him. He made me an auto brake pedal because it was kind of small and I had the stick shift one in there. So he did his first automatic brake pedal for me on here, and it turned out pretty good. It's got a Motec dash display, which Joel had the dash cut out because I had a Holly in it. So it fits the 12-inch screen pretty perfect in there. We have plenty of viewing.
Yeah, that dash is super sick.
Yeah, we even did the reverse camera on it just because it had the capability.
Oh, heck yes, we got a gap cam.
And there's no mirrors, right, exactly.
We got a gap cam in this thing, dude. Coming out swinging.
But it has a M&M close ratio transmission with a lockup, so M&M shifter control that. The Motec shifts it. It's got an air solenoid there and a MAC valve, so it's consistent every pass. Motion Race Works column and wheel. And like I said, it's all business.
Goodies back here. It's nice back here. This, like, nice carbon deal here.
Yeah. Pretty much the back of the car is mostly carbon. Tubs are carbon. All the paneling back there is all carbon. Again, just, you know,
lightweight stuff.
Try to keep it light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I see full streetcar mode.
Yep, you know, it's dark at the racetrack too. So yeah, we got, you know, on our PDM and on our keypad, we got a little
lights there.
Little interior lighting in here to make it easier to buckle up and get belted in for the pass.
Ready for the drag and drive road trips.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, got to get the cup holders retrofitted. That's about it.
All right, dude. Well, thank you so much for giving us the full breakdown on this beast. It's a work of art. It's an absolute pleasure to watch this thing go down the track, and I can't wait to see you go faster, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming by, and we'll just, like I said, we're racing ourselves, so we'll just keep trying to go faster and faster every time we go out.
Hell yeah, man. So we'll see you in 3 weeks at TRC Street Kings.
That's right.